The human soldier walked through the alien marketplace. His boots heavy on the smooth stone ground, strange lights glowed above him. Signs written in languages he could not read flickered in the air. The smell of burning oils and sharp spices filled his nose. Voices in strange tones echoed from every side. Some looked at him with fear, some with anger, but most turned away. Pretending he was not there, he kept walking, his eyes searching. Unsure why his heart was pulling him deeper into this place, then he saw her. She stood among the crowd. Different from all others, her skin shimmered like silver under the blue lights. Her dark eyes locked on him with a piercing stare. Her movements were graceful. Yet there was strength in the way she held her posture. He could not look away. His breath caught in his chest as if time had slowed. She noticed his stare and moved closer. Her voice was cold, sharp like a blade. "Why are you staring at me, human?" she asked. The marketplace grew quieter, eyes turning toward them. His heart pounded. He should have looked down. He should have walked away. But instead he whispered, "Because beauty like yours can't be ignored." The words left his mouth before he could stop them. For a moment, the silence in the air felt dangerous. He could feel the weight of every alien eye on him. The woman's eyes widened. Not with anger, but with something else. A flicker of surprise. Maybe even curiosity. She tilted her head, studying him as if trying to understand whether he spoke truth or just mocking. Guards at the edge of the market began to whisper among themselves. Their hands rested on their weapons. Watching the human too closely, he felt the tension building. But he did not back down. The woman stepped closer. Now standing only a breath away, her silver skin reflected the light. Her expression unreadable, she said nothing. Yet her silence felt louder than any words. The soldier's mind raced. He was trained to fight, not to speak like this. Yet here he was, breaking an unspoken law in a world where humans and her kind were not meant to mix. He felt a strange heat rising in his chest. Not fear, but something new. He wondered if this one meeting would change his life forever. She finally spoke again, softer this time. "Humans are strange, always staring, always speaking words they should not." Her tone carried warning. But her eyes still lingered on him. He gave a small smile, trying to hide the storm inside him. "Maybe strange," he said quietly. "But honest," the crowd began to murmur louder. Some shook their heads in disgust. Others looked away quickly, as if afraid of what might come. The guards took a step forward, their sharp armor shining. The soldier felt his muscles tighten, ready to defend himself if needed. But the woman lifted one hand slightly, stopping them with a silent command. Her people respected her presence. And they obeyed. For a moment, everything froze. The human and the alien woman stood face to face, their worlds divided by history, yet drawn together by one reckless whisper. He could see questions forming in her eyes, questions that might change everything if she let them out. The tension broke as the wind swept through the market, carrying dust and whispers away. The woman finally stepped back, her eyes never leaving his. "You should not be here," she said softly. "But you came anyway." Her voice carried both warning and wonder. He nodded slowly. "And I will come again," he whispered. She turned away, vanishing into the glowing crowd. But her image stayed in his mind. The human stood alone in the center of the market, yet his chest felt alive with a new fire. The guards still watched him. The crowd still whispered, but he no longer cared. He had spoken words forbidden in this place, and he knew this was only the beginning of something far greater than either of them understood. The night after their first meeting, the human soldier could not sleep. The echo of her voice, the sharp question, and his reckless answer kept replaying in his mind. He had spoken words he never planned, words that broke unspoken rules. Yet instead of regret, he felt a strange pull, as if the silver-skinned woman had left a mark on his soul. In the marketplace, whispers spread like fire. Traders spoke of the human who dared to look at one of their kind with longing. Some laughed, some shook their heads. But others spoke with fear. It was not just a meeting. It was a breach of the fragile peace that kept humans and aliens from tearing each other apart again. The council would not stay silent for long. The woman, too, could not forget. She sat in her quarters, staring at the glowing patterns carved into her walls. Her people believed humans were dangerous, unpredictable. But his eyes had not carried the hunger of a conqueror. Instead, they carried something else, something she could not name. She told herself it was foolish, yet she found her feet walking back to the place where she had seen him. When he returned the next day, he came with caution. His uniform was plain, his weapons hidden. He moved through the marketplace like a shadow, searching, hoping. At first he saw only unfriendly faces, but then he caught sight of her standing near a stall filled with glowing crystals. Her eyes flicked toward him, a warning in their depths, but she did not turn away. They moved to a quiet corner away from the crowd. The air was heavy, and his heart beat faster with every step. "You should not be here," she whispered sharply. Her voice was firm, but her hands trembled slightly at her side. "I had to come," he answered softly. "I don't know why, but I can't stay away." For a moment, neither spoke. The silence stretched, filled only by the hum of alien machines and distant voices. Then she asked, "Do humans always speak without fear?" He gave a small laugh, shaking his head. "Most of us are full of fear. I just ignored mine when I saw you." Her lips curved slightly, almost a smile, but it vanished as quickly as it came. "If the council hears of this," she said, "they will not forgive me." "They will not forgive you either," he nodded, understanding the danger but unwilling to walk away. "Then let them hear," he said. "I don't care what they think. I only care about this moment." Her breath caught, and for the first time she truly looked at him, not as a soldier, not as an enemy, but as someone who dared to risk everything for a truth spoken in the dark. Something stirred in her chest, something she had long buried. She shook her head, whispering, "You are strange, human, and dangerous." Yet her voice lacked anger. It carried a softness she had not used in years. Their secret meetings began that night, in hidden alleys under broken towers, near glowing rivers that cut through the city. They spoke quietly. He told her of Earth's blue oceans, of forests that stretched beyond sight. She told him of her people's lost stars, of the golden cities that once floated in space before war tore them down. Each story was a piece of trust. Fragile yet powerful, but danger followed. Shadows lingered near them, figures who watched too closely. Rumors grew louder, and the council's spies listened from the dark. Both of them knew the risk, yet still they returned to each other. Drawn by something stronger than fear, one evening, as they stood near the ruins of an old temple, she reached out and touched his hand. Her skin was cool, shimmering like metal yet soft like silk. He felt his heart stutter. Her voice was barely a whisper. "This cannot last." He squeezed her hand gently, answering, "Maybe not, but even one moment with you is worth everything." The wind carried their words away, but the bond between them grew deeper, hidden from the galaxy, but strong enough to shake it. In the quiet night, two souls from two worlds stood side by side, knowing that the fire they had sparked could never be undone. The council chamber was carved from black stone that seemed to drink in the light. Tall pillars rose high, glowing with faint lines of energy. The alien woman stood in the center, her silver skin shimmering under the cold lamps above. Around her sat the council, their eyes sharp, their voices quiet but heavy with judgment. "You have been seen with the human," one of them said. His voice was low like a growl. "Do you deny it?" She did not answer at once. Her hands were steady, but inside her heart pounded like a drum. At last she spoke. "I do not deny it." The chamber stirred, whispers breaking the silence. Some leaned forward with anger, others with curiosity. The council leader raised a hand, silencing the voices. "You know our laws," he said. "Humans are tolerated but not trusted. They walk our streets only because peace keeps the guns silent. To share words with one is foolish. To share more is betrayal." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "Betrayal of what? Of fear? Of old wounds that no longer bleed?" The chamber erupted in noise. Some shouted for punishment, others hissed her name. The leader struck the stone floor with his staff, the sound echoing like thunder. "You forget your place," he warned. "Your people look to you. If you continue this path, you will fall from honor, and you will fall alone." Meanwhile, across the city, the human soldier faced his own storm. His commander dragged him into a steel-walled room. The man's voice was filled with fury. "What were you thinking? Do you have any idea what you've done?" The soldier stood stiff, his fists tight at his sides. "I spoke the truth," he said quietly. "Nothing more." His commander slammed a hand on the table. "Nothing more? You are a soldier of Earth, not some wandering fool chasing shadows. If their council decides you've broken trust, this peace is over. Do you want another war?" The soldier looked down, guilt heavy but his heart refusing to yield. "I didn't choose this," he whispered. "It found me." The commander's eyes burned. "Stay away from her," he ordered. "That is final." But as the soldier walked out of the room, he knew in his chest that the order would be broken. His steps were heavy, yet his mind was clear. He would see her again no matter the risk. Back in the alien chamber, the woman stood silent as the council reached their warning. "One more step toward the human," the leader said. "And you will not only lose your standing, you will lose your freedom." She bowed her head. Hiding the fire in her eyes, she left the chamber, the heavy doors closing behind her with a final thud. The city outside buzzed with life, but she felt the shadows of eyes everywhere. Every corner seemed filled with watchers. Every voice whispered her name. Yet when she thought of his words, when she remembered his gaze, she felt something stronger than fear that night. As the moons rose and the streets grew quiet, the human waited in the ruins of an old tower. The air was cold, filled with the sound of distant machines. He wondered if she would come, or if fear had broken what they had begun. He told himself to walk away, but his feet would not move. Then she appeared, stepping from the shadows. Her cloak hid her face, but her voice carried the same strength. "The council warned me," she said softly. "They threatened everything I am." He met her eyes, steady and unafraid. "My commander warned me too," he answered. "But still, we are here." For a moment they simply stood in silence, the weight of two worlds pressing down on them. The stars above shone bright. "Witnesses to their choice," she whispered. "We are walking on a blade, human. One wrong step and we both fall." He took her hand gently, answering, "Then let us fall together if we must." Her breath trembled. But she did not pull away. In that quiet ruin, with danger pressing in from every side, their bond grew stronger. What began with a forbidden stare was now a fire burning too bright to hide. And both of them knew the next move would change not just their lives, but perhaps the fragile peace of two worlds. The ruins of the old city became their sanctuary. Crumbled towers rose like broken teeth against the night sky. Moonlight spilled across shattered walls, casting long shadows where eyes could hide. It was here that the human and the alien woman met in silence, their voices low, their hearts loud. Each night they came, never at the same hour. Never by the same road. The soldier would slip away from his barracks. Moving like a ghost through empty streets, she would cloak herself in dark fabric. Leaving no trace of her path, they both knew spies followed. But still they risked everything, drawn to a bond neither of them could sever. They sat together on fallen stones. He spoke of earth, of rain falling on rooftops, of children running through green fields. She listened with eyes wide, her mind painting pictures of a world she had never seen. Then she spoke of her own home, of stars her people once commanded, of songs sung in temples now silent. He leaned closer, hearing not just her words, but the sorrow hidden behind them. Sometimes they laughed, a rare sound in the heavy night. His jokes were simple, awkward, but they made her lips curl into faint smiles. She teased him for his clumsy words, yet her voice softened each time. Their laughter echoed in ruins built by war, a fragile reminder that life could still bloom where death once ruled. But always there was danger. Shadows moved along the edges of their secret place, cloaked figures pausing too long, footsteps fading when they turned. Once, he saw a glimmer of steel far off, the reflection of a blade catching moonlight before vanishing. Another night, she felt the air shift as if someone else was breathing just beyond the walls. The spies of the council were not blind. Despite this, they grew bolder. Their hands brushed when they passed messages in the dark. Their shoulders touched when they leaned close to whisper. One evening, he dared to hold her hand fully. Her skin cool, smooth like metal yet alive with warmth beneath. She did not pull away. Instead, her grip tightened, and in that moment, silence carried more meaning than 1,000 words. Yet silence was also their enemy. The city was beginning to whisper. Traders spoke of a woman who walked with a shadow. Soldiers muttered about their comrade sneaking away. Rumors twisted into dangerous tales. Some said he had bewitched her. Others claimed she planned to betray her people to him. Fear sharpened the air, and the noose began to tighten. One night as they met, her voice was restless. "They are watching too closely," she whispered. Her eyes scanned the ruins, her body tense. He reached for her arm, steady and calm. "Then let them watch. They cannot stop what already exists." She shook her head. "You don't understand. Human lives are forgiven quickly. Ours are not. If they catch me, it will not be exile. It will be death." His chest tightened at her words. He pulled her closer, his eyes firm. "Then I will not let them catch you." She studied him in the moonlight, his face marked by scars of battles fought, yet his eyes burned with a promise that felt stronger than walls. She whispered, "You are reckless." And for the first time, her lips curved into something real, a smile that glowed even in the dark. Still, fear stalked them, that very night. A stone shifted above them, tumbling down with a sharp crack. They spun, weapons drawn, but saw only an empty wall. The silence that followed was heavy. Someone had been there, watching, close enough to hear every word, close enough to slip away before being seen. They knew then that their time was running out. The council's spies would not remain in shadows forever. Soon their meetings would end in chains or blood. Yet still, when dawn touched the ruins, they lingered one last moment, hands entwined, hearts defiant. For in the space between two worlds, they had found something worth risking all. The ruins that once sheltered them grew colder with each meeting. The air carried a weight they could not name. A silence hung that was not natural. As if the stones themselves waited for something to happen, the human soldier felt it in his chest. A tension that grew sharper every night. The alien woman felt it too, her eyes often lifting to shadows that seemed thicker than before. On that night, the sky was dark without stars, clouds of ash drifting across the moons. They met in their hidden corner as always. But the air was different, too still, too heavy. She spoke first, her voice low. "I heard the council is preparing a trial." He frowned. Leaning closer, "A trial for who?" She looked away, her silver skin glowing faintly. "For me," he froze, anger flashing in his eyes. "How can they try you for speaking to me?" She gave a bitter smile. "Because fear is the only law they follow. To them, my words are treason." He reached for her hand, his grip tight. "Then we must leave tonight, before they move against us." But before she could answer, a sound cut through the night, a sharp metallic snap. Figures stepped from the shadows, cloaks fluttering, blades gleaming. The council's guards surrounded them in silence. Their armor caught the dim light, their faces hidden behind dark masks. The human soldier drew his blade instantly, his body shifting into the stance of battle. The woman stepped in front of him, her voice ringing out, "Wait. You will only make it worse." But the guards did not wait. They moved forward, weapons raised. Their leader's voice echoed, deep and cold. "You have broken the law of blood. You have shamed your kind. Tonight it ends." His gaze shifted to the soldier. "And the human who poisoned you will die first." The soldier felt his rage boil. But he also saw the trap. The numbers were too many, and the walls were too tight. Fighting would only mean both their deaths. He lowered his blade slowly, but did not release it fully. His voice cut through the silence. "If you want me, take me." "But she is innocent." The woman stepped beside him, her chin raised. "No, I am not innocent. I chose to stand with him." Her words silenced the guards for a moment. Their leader's hand tightened on his weapon. But something in her voice carried weight. The crowd of soldiers hesitated, whispers running through their ranks. Yet hesitation did not last. The leader barked an order, and chains were brought forward, cold metal wrapped around their wrists, the sound harsh against the night. The soldier clenched his fists, fighting the urge to strike. The woman's eyes stayed on him, steady and calm. "Do not fight," she whispered. "Not now." As they were dragged through the streets, the city awoke, windows lit with curious eyes. Whispers spread faster than fire. "The traitor," they hissed. "The human's whore," others spat. The soldier kept his head high, though anger burned in his chest. He saw the way her people looked at her with disgust. as if she had already been erased from their honor. They were brought before the council gates, tall and black, like the jaws of a beast. The guards pushed them to their knees, chains clattered against stone. The leader announced in a booming voice, "The council will judge them at dawn. Let all see what happens when law is broken." The crowd cheered, not with joy, but with hunger, the hunger for punishment. The soldier turned his head, his eyes finding hers. She looked tired but unbroken. "This is the end," she whispered. He shook his head slowly. "No, this is only the beginning." She gave a faint smile, even as chains dug into her skin, for though betrayal had fallen upon them, neither regret nor fear lived in their eyes. In the darkness of that night, bound in chains and surrounded by enemies, their bond was tested, and though the galaxy demanded they be torn apart, the fire between them burned brighter, stronger, defiant. It was not betrayal that defined them, but the choice to face death side by side. And in that choice, they found strength that no law could break. The council chamber was filled long before dawn. Citizens crowded outside the tall stone gates, their voices buzzing like a swarm of restless insects. Inside, the air was heavy with judgment. The human soldier and the alien woman were dragged to the center, chains clinking against the cold floor. The council sat above them on raised thrones, their robes glowing with symbols of power. Their eyes were sharp, watching with the hunger of wolves. The leader struck his staff against the stone, and the sound echoed like thunder. "The traitor stands before us," he declared. "She who defied our law, and the human who poisoned her heart." The woman lifted her head, her silver skin shining under the pale light. Her voice was steady, though her wrists bled from chains. "I am no traitor," she said. The crowd hissed, the council stirred, but she continued. "I chose to see the human not as an enemy, but as someone alive. Someone with eyes that did not burn with hate." Gasps rippled through the chamber. The soldier's chest tightened, pride and fear mixing in his heart. The council leader rose, his voice sharp. "You dare call this corruption something noble? He is the enemy. His people burned our skies. His kind brought war." She met his gaze without flinching. "Yes, war came. But hatred is not the only thing humans carry," the soldier finally spoke, his voice deep and calm. "I did not come to corrupt her. I did not come to destroy. I came because when I looked at her, I saw something worth protecting, even if the whole galaxy stood against it." His words rang across the chamber. Simple yet defiant, the council erupted into arguments. Some shouted for their execution, others called for silence. The leader struck his staff again, but the sound no longer controlled the chamber as before. Divisions cracked open like lightning in a storm. The woman's words had planted doubt, and the human's courage had given it fire. One of the counselors leaned forward, his voice uncertain. "What if she speaks truth? What if the human is not as we believe?" Another hissed in reply, "Weakness, that is all it is. Do not let this softness infect our people." Their voices clashed like swords, each word cutting deeper into the fragile peace of the hall. The crowd outside began to shout, their cries echoing through the stone walls. Some demanded punishment, some demanded mercy. For the first time, the people themselves were divided. The sound of voices grew louder, a storm pressing against the chamber. The woman stood taller, her chains rattling. "If love is betrayal, then let me be guilty," she said. "If kindness is weakness, then let me be weak, for in his eyes I found not a weapon but hope. And if hope is dangerous, then perhaps we need danger to change." Her words hung in the air like a blade, sharp and impossible to ignore. The human looked at her, his chest aching with both fear and admiration. The council fell into silence, their power trembling in the face of truth. The leader's jaw tightened, his eyes burning with rage. "You speak well. But words cannot undo law," he said. "You have broken it, and the price is exile," the crowd gasped. Exile was not mercy. It was a sentence to walk alone. Stripped of name, stripped of honor, the woman lowered her head, but did not bow. The soldier turned toward her, whispering, "At least we will face exile together." The leader's voice cut through the chamber again. "Then so be it. Let all remember this day when law was challenged. Let all remember her fall." But even as he spoke, the people did not shout in agreement. Instead, they whispered in uncertain tones, seeds of doubt spreading wider than the council expected. As chains were pulled tighter and guards prepared to drag them away, the human and the alien woman shared one last glance. Her eyes carried fire, his carried promise. Together they had stood before judgment, and though they were cast out, they had spoken a truth the council could not bury. The trial did not break them, it revealed them, and in the silence that followed, the galaxy felt the tremor of something new, two hearts daring to stand against the weight of ancient hate. The dawn was pale when they were cast out. The council gates closed behind them with a sound like a final heartbeat. Chains were removed, but the scars on their wrists remained. A small crowd gathered at the edge of the city, some watching with anger, some with silence, and some with eyes that carried questions they dared not speak. The human soldier and the alien woman walked side by side through the dust, neither speaking. The world outside the city stretched wide and endless, ruins of old wars rising like skeletons against the horizon. They had been stripped of name, of honor, of place, but not of will. Their steps were heavy, but their hearts carried fire. At last she spoke, her voice soft but steady. "We are nothing now." He turned his head, his eyes fixed on hers. "No, we are free," she frowned. The word foreign on her tongue. Free? Exiled, hunted, shamed? This is freedom? He gave a small smile, though his chest ached. Yes, because now no council, no commander, no law can tell us who we are. They traveled through broken lands, old battlefields where rusted machines lay half buried in the soil. The wind carried the scent of ash, a reminder of wars that both their peoples wanted to forget but never could. As they walked, they shared silence, and in that silence grew a bond stronger than words. At night, under alien stars, they sat by small fires. He told her stories of Earth, of mountains that touched the clouds, of oceans that stretched beyond sight. She listened, eyes wide, as if tasting freedom through his words. Then she spoke of her people's lost cities, floating palaces of light that once shone across the stars before greed and war tore them apart. He listened, not with pity, but with respect. But danger never left them. Shadows followed, shapes moving in the distance. Once they found tracks too fresh, as if hunters trailed them. She placed her hand on her weapon, whispering, "The council is not done. They will not let us vanish so easily." He nodded, his jaw tight. "Then let them come. We will not run from who we are." One evening, as the moons rose, they found themselves on a cliff overlooking the ruins of a city swallowed by sand. The view stretched endless, the sky painted in silver and red. The woman stood still, the wind pulling at her cloak. "All my life I obeyed," she said quietly. "I followed rules, carried their honor, and still they cast me out." Her voice trembled, but her eyes burned. "Now I have nothing left to lose." The human stepped closer, his hand brushing hers. "Then you are stronger than them," he said, "because you chose your path, not theirs." She turned to face him, her eyes glimmering. "And you, human, you defied your commander, your world. Why?" He smiled faintly, whispering, "Because beauty like yours cannot be ignored, and truth cannot be chained." Her breath caught, and for the first time, she let the silence break. Her lips curved into a smile, real and unguarded. It was not the smile of an alien warrior, nor of a council's servant. It was the smile of someone who had chosen, freely, to stand with another soul, no matter the cost, far away. In the city they left behind, whispers spread. Some said the trial had been weakness. Others said it had been courage. Seeds of doubt grew in the hearts of the people, cracks in the council's power spreading silently. Neither the human nor the alien woman knew it yet. But their defiance had already begun to change more than their own lives. As dawn broke again, painting the sky gold, they stood together on the edge of the ruined world. Exiles, lovers, rebels. Their journey was only beginning. The galaxy would hunt them. The council would curse them. But still they walked forward, step by step, their hands entwined. For in a universe divided by hate, two hearts had found something greater. And though the galaxy did not yet know it, the day would come when their love would burn brighter than war, brighter than law, brighter than fear. It was not the end. It was the beginning of a new dawn,